Imagine this. You're underwater, watching a huge coral reef. It's all pink and orange. And then suddenly, poof, tiny little orbs like glitter start streaming upwards.
Yeah, those are packets of sperm and eggs just floating up to the surface.
And they meet, they fuse, and bam, new life begins. It's incredible. And you compare that to, say, a sea star regrowing from an arm, or how bees work.
Yeah,
It really makes you rethink reproduction, doesn't it?
it absolutely does. We tend to have this very human-focused idea of it, but the animal kingdom, it's full of surprises. Animals changing sex, having both sets of organs. Life finds a way.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to explore all these varied, sometimes frankly weird ways animals reproduce and develop.
Right. We'll be digging into some core biology concepts, the kind you find in a key textbook, but we'll break it down so you can follow along easily. No pictures needed.
Exactly. We want to highlight the science behind it, the amazing adaptations, and why it all matters in the real world.
We'll basically give you a verbal tour, focusing on the why these strategies evolved, so you see why those concepts aren't just for exams, you know.
Okay, let's dive in. The big question. How do animals actually do it? Turns out there are two main blueprints. Concept 36.1 covers this, both asexual and sexual reproduction.
So sexual reproduction, that's probably what most people think of first. It's about the fusion of gametes, an egg and a sperm.
The puzzle pieces analogy.
Exactly. The egg is typically large, doesn't move much, has half the genes. The sperm is small, motile, brings the other half. They fuse, form a zygote that's the complete puzzle which grows into a new animal.
And asexual?
Asexual is like making a copy. No fusion of gametes. New individuals arise just from the parent cells dividing through mitosis.
And the ways that happens are pretty diverse,
Yeah.
especially in invertebrates, like budding.
Yeah, budding is where a new individual literally grows out from the parent's body. Think stony corals building those huge colonies. They're basically clones budding off each other.
Okay. And fission.
Fission is simpler in a way. The parent just splits into two, like sea anemones sometimes do, just divides itself.
And the sea star thing. Regrowing from a piece.
That's fragmentation and regeneration. An animal breaks into pieces, and each piece can grow into a whole new animal. Some worms and sponges do this too. It's incredible resilience.
It really is. Then there's parthenogenesis.
Ah, yes. Virgin birth. An egg developing without any fertilization at all.
Common in insects like bees, wasps, ants, right?
Very. Their offspring can be haploid or diploid depending on the species, but what's really mind-blowing is seeing it in vertebrates.
Like the Komodo dragons.
Komodo dragons, hammerhead sharks, females in captivity producing offspring without any male contact. And it's not just captivity. DNA proved wild sawfish doing it too.
Wow. Okay, that really does challenge the norm.
Yeah.
So if asexual reproduction is so efficient, just make copies. Why bother with sex? It seems like a disadvantage.
That's the famous twofold cost of sex. Think about it. An asexual female produces offspring, all of which are female and can reproduce. A sexual female needs a mate, and roughly half her offspring are males who can't produce offspring themselves.
So the asexual population can grow twice as fast,
In
basically.
theory, yes, it's a huge numerical advantage.
So why hasn't sex disappeared? Why is it still the dominant mode for so many animals?
That's a major question in evolutionary biology. The leading idea is genetic variation. Sex shuffles the genetic deck every generation through meiosis and fertilization.
Creating new combinations of genes.
Exactly. And that variation can be crucial for adapting to changing environments, new diseases, predators, climate shifts, you name it. Asexual reproduction is great in stable conditions, but when things change, those clones might all be susceptible.
So sex is like playing the long game, evolutionarily speaking, betting on diversity.
That's a good way to put it. It's an investment in adaptability, even with that short-term cost.
Adapt or perish indeed. And animals have evolved some amazing variations within their sexual cycles too, like timing things seasonally.
Absolutely. Most animals have reproductive cycles controlled by hormones and environmental cues, like day length or temperature. This ensures offspring arrive when conditions are best, usually when food is plentiful.
You mentioned the caribou example.
Right, the Greenland caribou. It's quite tragic, actually. Their migration is triggered by day length, which hasn't changed. But climate change means the plants they need are peaking earlier.
So they arrive too late for the best food.
Exactly. And the result, a massive drop in calf survival. It shows how critical that timing is and how vulnerable it can be to environmental shift.
Now, behaviorally, things get even stranger. Those all-female lizards, Aspidosceles.
Yeah, the whiptail lizards, yes. They reproduce asexually, yet they still perform courtship and mating behaviors. One female even acts like a male mounting another.
Why would they do that if there's no fertilization?
It seems linked to their hormone cycles. They act female when estrogen is high, then male-like when progesterone peaks after ovulation. And apparently, undergoing this pseudo-mating behavior actually stimulates them to lay more eggs.
So it's like an echo of their sexual past, still useful even now.
It seems so, a fascinating evolutionary leftover.
And then you have hermaphrodites, animals with both male and female systems.
Right, like barnacles, many snails, some fish. It's a great strategy if finding a mate is difficult or rare. Any two individuals can potentially reproduce. Some can even self-fertilize as a last resort.
Total opposite end of the spectrum.
That's
It's reversal, like the blue-headed wrasse.
the classic example. They live in harems. One male, many females. If the male dies,
The biggest female changes sex.
yep, within about a week, she becomes a fully functional male, takes over the harem, defends it, and reproduces.
Why the largest female?
Because size matters for defending the territory and the harem. It ensures the most capable individual takes over the male role quickly, maximizing reproductive success for the whole group.
So many strategies. Okay, from how they reproduce, let's zoom into the moment it happens. Fertilization. External versus internal.
External fertilization is common in aquatic animals. Eggs and sperm are just released into the water. Think spawning fish or corals.
Requires water, obviously. And timing must be critical.
Absolutely crucial. Often involves environmental cues like temperature or tides or chemical signals. The Palolo worm in the Pacific is famous for its synchronized spawning tied to the lunar cycle. The sea turns milky with gametes.
Wow. And internal fertilization.
That's where sperm is deposited inside or near the female reproductive tract. It's a key adaptation for life on land, protecting gametes from drying out.
Requires more complex anatomy and behavior, I imagine.
Generally, yes, and often includes things like spermathecae in female insect sex, where they can store sperm, sometimes for months or years, using it to fertilize eggs as needed.
And pheromones play a role in getting mates together for either type.
Often, yes. Those chemical signals can attract mates from incredible distances, especially in insects. A female moth releasing pheromones can attract males from kilometers away.
What about protecting the offspring? How do internal and external strategies compare there?
Big difference. Internal fertilization typically leads to fewer offspring, but each has a much higher survival rate.
Because they're protected inside the mother, or by shells or parental care.
Exactly. Compare a bird's hard-shelled egg, incubated by a parent, to the thousands of tiny jelly-coated eggs a fish might release into the water, most of which get eaten.
Or that giant water bug dad carrying eggs on his back.
A fantastic example of male parental care, keeping those eggs safe and oxygenated. It highlights the diversity of care strategies linked to internal fertilization.
Okay, so from the strategies, let's look inside at the equipment. Concept 36.2. Reproductive organs produce and transport gametes.
Right. The main gamete factories are the gonads, tests in males, ovaries in females, though some simpler animals don't have distinct gonads.
But in most animals, especially vertebrates like us, it's more complex.
Much more complex. We have accessory tubes and glands. These don't make gametes, but they're crucial for transporting them, nourishing them, protecting them, and supporting the embryo. Think about the journey sperm takes, or how the uterus prepares for pregnancy.
And these systems vary a lot between different animal groups.
Hugely. Like the cloaca you see in birds, reptiles, amphibians, one opening for everything. Most mammals have separate openings. Even uterus structure varies among mammals. Evolution shapes these systems for specific needs.
Let's focus on humans. Male anatomy first. External parts.
You have the scrotum, which holds the testes outside the main body cavity. This keeps them slightly cooler, about 2 degrees Celsius lower, which is essential for sperm production. And the penis, containing the urethra for urine and semen, plus erectile tissue.
And internally.
The testes themselves, packed with seminiferous tubules where sperm are made. Sperm then move to the epididymis to mature and become motile. During ejaculation, they travel through the vas deferens, mix with fluids from accessory glands, and exit via the urethra.
What do those accessory glands add? Seminal vesicles, prostate.
They contribute most of the volume of semen. The seminal vesicles add fluid rich in fructose for energy, plus prostaglandins. The prostate adds a thin, milky fluid with anticoagulant enzymes and citrate, and the bulbourethral glands release a clear mucus before ejaculation to neutralize any acidity in the urethra.
So semen is much more than just sperm.
Oh, absolutely. It's a complex support fluid.
And how does the erection mechanism work?
It's hydraulics, basically. During arousal, arteries dilate, filling the spongy erectile tissue in the penis with blood. This compresses the veins that normally drain the blood, trapping it and causing the penis to become firm. Various things like alcohol, drugs, stress, age can affect this.
Okay, now for female anatomy, external.
The clitoris at the front, which is developmentally similar to the penis glands, rich in nerves and erectile tissue. And the labia majora and minora, folds of skin protecting the genital area and openings.
Internal organs.
The ovaries, located in the abdomen, which contain follicles. Each follicle houses an oocyte, an immature egg.
And after ovulation.
The egg is usually swept into an oviduct, or fallopian tube. These tubes lead to the uterus, or womb.
Which is where pregnancy develops.
Exactly. It's a thick, muscular organ lined with the endometrium, which is rich in blood vessels, and prepares to nourish an embryo. The cervix is the lower, narrow part of the uterus that opens into the vagina.
And the vagina serves as
The site for sperm deposition during intercourse, and the birth canal during delivery.
We should also mention mammary glands.
Right, present in both sexes, but functional for milk production in females after childbirth, stimulated by hormones.
Okay, let's compare how these gametes, sperm and eggs, are actually made. Gametogenesis. Spermatogenesis versus oovogenesis.
It's a fascinating contrast. Both processes use meiosis to create haploid gametes from diploid precursors. Both involve support cells in the gonads.
But the differences are stark, right? Especially timing.
Absolutely. Spermatogenesis is continuous from puberty onwards in males. Millions of sperm are produced daily, taking about 7 weeks to mature fully.
Whereas oogenesis is different.
Very different. It's prolonged and discontinuous. Bugonia, the precursor cells, divide and start meiosis before a female is even born. Then they arrest in prophase I.
So all of the potential eggs a woman will ever have are there at birth, paused.
Essentially, yes. Then, starting at puberty, usually one primary oocyte per month resumes meiosis, but it pauses again at metaphase 2. It only completes meiosis if it's fertilized by a sperm.
Wow. And the outcome is different too.
Drastically. Spermatogenesis yields 4 functional sperm from one precursor cell. Oogogenesis yields only 1 large functional egg. The other meiotic products are tiny polar bodies that just degenerate. The egg gets almost all the cytoplasm and nutrients.
And sperm production continues through life, while egg production stops at menopause.
Correct. Oogogenesis ceases typically around age 50.
Let's look at the sperm structure, tailored for its job.
Perfectly. A head containing the haploid nucleus, capped by the acrosome, a vesicle with enzymes to penetrate the egg, a midpiece packed with mitochondria for energy, and a long flagellar tail for swimming.
And the egg's journey after ovulation, the follicle's role.
The released egg is actually a secondary oocyte, arrested in meiosis II. The follicle cells left behind in the ovary develop into the corpus luteum. This structure is temporary but vital. It secretes hormones, especially progesterone, essential for maintaining the uterine lining for a potential pregnancy. If no pregnancy occurs, it degenerates.
This leads perfectly into concept 36.3, hormonal regulation. It's all orchestrated by chemical messengers.
It's a beautiful cascade. It starts in the brain. The hypothalamus releases GnRH, gonadotropin-releasing hormone.
The master signal.
Right. GnRH tells the anterior pituitary gland to release 2 key hormones, FSH, follicle-stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone. These travel through the blood to the gonads.
And the gonads respond by producing sex hormones.
Exactly. The main ones are androgens like testosterone, estrogens like estradiol, and progesterone. Both sexes produce all 3, but in very different amounts, leading to different effects.
These hormones do more than just control gamete production, right? They shape development.
Definitely. Primary sex characteristics, the gonads and reproductive tracts, are determined early in development, largely by the presence or absence of androgens, often directed by genes like SRY on the Y chromosome in males.
And secondary characteristics.
Those developed at puberty, driven by the surge in sex hormones, things like voice deepening and hair patterns in males, androgens, or breast development and fat distribution in females, estrogens. These create the physical differences or sexual dimorphism between sexes.
So how is it controlled in males? FSH and LH effects.
In males, FSH targets Sertoli cells in the testes, which help nourish developing sperm. LH targets Leydig cells, stimulating them to produce testosterone, which itself is crucial for spermatogenesis.
And there are feedback loops to keep levels right.
Yes, negative feedback. Testosterone inhibits both GnRH release from the hypothalamus and LH release from the pituitary. Sertoli cells also produce inhibin, which specifically reduces FSH release. It keeps everything in balance.
Now, the female cycle is much more cyclical. The ovarian and uterine cycles?
Yeah. They are two interconnected cycles, synchronized by hormones. The ovarian cycle governs the growth and release of an egg. The uterine or menstrual cycle governs the preparation and maintenance of the uterine lining.
Walk us through that coordination. Early phase.
Okay, start of the cycle. The pituitary releases a bit of FSH and LH. FSH stimulates several follicles in the ovary to start growing. These growing follicles produce estradiol, but at low levels initially. This low estradiol actually inhibits FSH and LH release slightly.
Keeping things slow at first, but then.
Then, one follicle usually becomes dominant and grows faster, producing much more estradiol. Around mid-cycle, this estradiol level surges. And here's the twist. High levels of estradiol switch from inhibiting to stimulating the pituitary.
Positive feedback effect.
Exactly. This causes a massive surge in LH and a smaller FSH surge. This LH surge is the direct trigger for ovulation. The mature follicle ruptures, releasing the secondary oocyte, about 24-36 hours after the surge starts.
And after ovulation, the luteal phase.
Right. LH also transforms the ruptured follicle into the corpus luteum. This structure now pumps out both progesterone and estradiol.
And what does these do?
This combination strongly inhibits the hypothalamus and pituitary, shutting down GnRH, FSH, and LH release. This prevents new follicles from developing if pregnancy has begun.
Clever. How does this sync with the uterus?
Perfectly. The rising estradiol before ovulation causes the endometrium to thicken. That's the proliferative phase. After ovulation, the progesterone and estradiol from the corpus luteum maintain this lining, make it more vascularized and glandular, ready for an embryo, the secretory phase.
And if no embryo, implants.
The corpus luteum disintegrates after about 10-14 days. Progesterone and estradiol levels plummet. Without hormonal support, the uterine lining breaks down, arteries constrict, and the lining is shed. That's menstruation, marking day 1 of the next cycle.
Which leads eventually to menopause.
Yes. Usually between 46 and 54, the ovaries become less responsive to FSH and LH, estrogen production declines, and ovulation and menstruation stop.
You mentioned menstrual versus estrous cycles earlier.
Right. Humans and some other primates have menstrual cycles where the endometrium is shed. Most other mammals have estrous cycles. The endometrium is usually reabsorbed, not shed extensively. And sexual receptivity, estrus or sheet, is typically limited to a specific period around ovulation.
And cycle lengths vary wildly in estrus animals.
Hugely. From once a year in bears to every few days in rodents. Some, like cats and rabbits, are induced ovulators. Mating itself triggers ovulation.
Okay, quickly on human sexual response. 4 phases.
Excitement, plateau, orgasm, resolution. Common physiological responses in both sexes include vasocongestion, blood flow to genitals, and myotonia or muscle tension.
And despite different appearances, some structures share origins.
Yes, the clitoris and penis glands, the labia majora and scrotum, develop from the same embryonic tissues. One key difference in response is that females generally don't have a mandatory refractory period after orgasm, allowing for multiple orgasms in quick succession.
Fascinating. Okay, final stretch. Concept 36.4. Development from egg to embryo.
The journey begins after fertilization forms the zygote. Then comes cleavage, rapid cell division without growth, forming a hollow ball, the blastula.
Then gastrulation.
Gastrulation is a dramatic rearrangement. Cells move inward, forming the primary germ layers, ectoderm, outer, endoderm, inner lining, and mesoderm, middle layer in most animals. This establishes the basic body plan.
And finally, organogenesis.
Where these germ layers differentiate and develop into specific tissues and rudimentary organs.
Let's use the sea urchin again for fertilization details.
Yeah.
Preventing polyspermy is key.
Absolutely. When the sperm first contacts the egg's jelly coat, the acrosomal reaction releases enzymes to digest through it. Then sperm binds to receptors on the egg membrane.
And that triggers blocks.
Instantly. First, a fast block rapid depolarization of the egg membrane like an electrical fence. Then the slow block or cortical reaction. Vesicles called cortical granules fuse with the egg membrane, releasing substances that harden the outer layer into a fertilization envelope and clip off sperm receptors.
Making sure only one sperm gets in, and it activates the egg.
Yes, sperm entry triggers a rise in calcium ions inside the egg. boosting metabolism and protein synthesis, essentially waking the egg up and initiating development.
Then cleavage starts, rapid divisions, no growth.
Exactly. Just partitioning the large egg cytoplasm into many smaller cells, blastomeres, forming that hollow blastula with a fluid-filled blasticule.
How does this play out in humans? Conception in the oviduct.
Right. Fertilization happens there. Human eggs have the slow block, cortical reaction, but no fast block. Cleavage starts about a day later as the embryo travels to the uterus.
Reaching the uterus as a blastocyst.
Yes, after about 4 to 5 days. It flows for a couple of days, then around day 7 after conception, it implants into the endometrium. That marks the beginning of pregnancy or gestation, lasting about 38 weeks from fertilization.
Gastrulation then sets up the body layers.
It's morphogenesis in action.
Right.
Cells migrate inwards, forming the 3 germ layers, which are the foundation for all tissues and organs. Ectoderm gives rise to skin and nervous system, endoderm to the digestive tract lining, mesoderm to muscles, bones, circulatory system, etc.
Then organogenesis builds the actual organs from these layers.
Correct. Specific regions of the germ layers develop into rudimentary organs.
Let's look at human pregnancy trimesters. First one.
Weeks 0-13. This is the main period of organogenesis. The embryo is incredibly sensitive to disruption. By 8 weeks, it's called a fetus, has all major structures in basic form, and the heart is beating. The placenta forms during this time, too, connecting mother and fetus for nutrient, gas, and waste exchange.
The critical period. Second trimester.
Weeks 14-26. Lots of growth. Fetus gets much bigger, develops features like fingernails, sex is usually distinguishable, mother starts feeling movement.
Third trimester.
Week 27 to birth, primarily rapid growth in size and weight, maturing organs, preparing for life outside, fetus gains layers of fat.
Then comes labor.
Driven by uterine contractions, stimulated by hormones like oxytocin in a positive feedback loop. Contractions stimulate oxytocin release, which stimulates stronger contractions, eventually leading to birth.
And after birth, parental care kicks in.
Often with milk production stimulated by prolactin and milk release by oxytocin triggered by suckling. But parental care, as we've seen, takes many forms across the animal kingdom.
Okay, to wrap up, let's touch on contraception and infertility briefly.
Contraception is deliberate pregnancy prevention. Methods interfere at different points, preventing gamete release, like hormonal pills stopping ovulation, preventing fertilization, like condoms or diaphragms, or preventing implantation, like IUDs.
Reliability varies a lot.
Greatly. Abstinence or rhythm methods can be unreliable. Barrier methods like condoms are better and also prevent STDs. Sterilization, vasectomy, tubal ligation, and IUD hormonal methods are generally the most effective.
Infertility affects many couples.
Causes. Various causes. Importantly, sexually transmitted diseases like chlamydia are a major preventable cause, especially as they can be asymptomatic in women until causing damage.
Treatments exist.
Yes, hormone therapy, surgery, and assisted reproductive technologies like IVF and vitro fertilization. IVF involves fertilizing eggs with sperm in a lab and transferring embryos to the uterus. It's complex and costly, but helps many achieve pregnancy.
What a comprehensive tour. From asexual clones to intricate human development, the diversity is just astounding.
It really is. Understanding these mechanisms gives us huge insights into biology, evolution, medicine, our own lives, really.
It makes you appreciate the sheer ingenuity involved in perpetuating life.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for you listeners. Seeing this incredible variety, sex-changing fish, asexual lizards acting out courtship, what does this plasticity tell us about the evolutionary pressures that shape reproduction? And how might understanding these deep mechanisms influence things like conservation or even future human reproductive health?
Definitely something to ponder. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into animal reproduction and development. We hope you learned a lot.
Keep exploring the amazing biology all around you.